to start. I got it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience. It's great to see such a large crowd turn out for a university colloquium here at St. Cloud State University. This is the second of our colloquium series being put on by the Faculty Research Group on Immigrant Workers in Minnesota. For your information, my name is Steve Filling. I'm the director of the Research Group on Immigrant Workers in Minnesota here at St. Cloud State University. I just wanted to let you know very briefly, this colloquium series is kind of a run-up to a much bigger event which will be held next semester on April 9th, April 10th, and it's looking more and more like very possibly there'll be an April 11th component of the conference coming up. We have an annual conference called the Global Goes Local, the social conditions of immigrant workers and families in Minnesota. For the last 2 years we've had this conference, and it's turned out a large number of folks from the university and from the community in both St. Cloud and in coming up from Minneapolis and as far away as Owatonna and Nebraska. So next, just kind of keep your eyes out. I'll be putting out a lot of publicity about that conference coming up in the future. But for now, today's colloquium features Dr. Ettien Koffi in the Department of English, a specialist in TESOL, teaching of English as a second language. And he is one of our more active members of our research group on immigrant workers in Minnesota. And this colloquium that he's going to be doing today is also going to be kind of a setup for a panel that he'll be putting on next semester at our annual conference. His talk today is, I'm just going to give you the title and let Ettien, Dr. Koffi, follow with the content, since he's much more able than I to deliver it. The title of the paper, the talk is called The Integration of Somali Immigrants, What Do Vowels Have to Do with It? And with no further ado, Dr. Ettien Koffi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience, and I'm glad that many of you could turn and come and attend this lecture. It is a special occasion, so I wore my my suit and jacket and everything. So, okay, let's get going. I hope that I will present no longer than 25 to 30 minutes. And I know some of you need to go to other classes. Feel free to leave. And those of you who can stay, stay. And then the question and answer session will follow. Okay. So this is the outline that I will be following. I will briefly talk about the importance of language in social integration. And I will go through some quick overview of key terms and factors that lead to unintelligibility. Overview of English vowels, research finding, Somali vowel space, and some basic discussions. So let's get going here. I have been influenced by two Canadian researchers who have been doing this for a very long time. And they are Monroe and Derwin, and I have been corresponding with them. They found that in Canada, when immigrants go to Canada, those whose speech is highly intelligible have a better chance of integrating into the society than those whose speech is not highly intelligible. And so I am using their methodology and their framework and applying it to our local situation. So basically, intelligibility means this. When immigrants come and learn a language, let's say English, since it is the topic of our conversation, when they produce a sound, is that sound closer to what native speakers produce? And if it is close enough to allow for comprehension, then there is no intelligibility problem. They will understand the non-native speaker. However, the more divergent the sound is, the harder it is for native speakers to understand the person who is speaking. However, they made three important observations that I would like to bring to your attention. There is no clear correlation between accentedness and intelligibility. It is not because somebody has an accent that his speech or her speech is not intelligible. I have an accent, and I hope that you understand what I'm saying. So there is no correlation between accentiveness and intelligibility. At least the correlation is not clear. There is, however, a correlation between intelligibility and comprehensibility. Again, intelligibility means the closer or the further away a linguistic item is from what native speakers say, the harder it is for native speakers to understand. And this point is almost similar to the previous point. Accentiveness does not preclude comprehensibility. Now, let's look at some of the elements that cause speech not to be intelligible. There are some terms here that I will not go through defining because it will take me a while. So, sub-segmental factors. For instance, Somali, there is a p in English, and there is a b in English. When Somali speakers produce a p, they produce it in such a way that it is not a p that native speakers expect, and it is not a b, it is halfway. And that sound creates quite a bit of unintelligibility. I have been researching a number of segments. I have looked at the pronunciation of ed by Somali speakers. I have also published an article on the pronunciation of s by Somali speakers. So this research that I'm doing here, presenting now, is going to be a long-going research project. So I'm just focusing on last vowels. And other factors, okay, well, I think I messed up here. Since we are dealing with vowels, let's just review for all of, so that we have a common understanding. English has 5 vowel letters. Okay, this is a problem for reading and speaking English. They have 5 vowel letters and Y that sometimes helps as a vowel. However, English has more than 5 vowel sounds. Actually, minimally, English has 11 vowel phonemes, and they are listed here. And English has 3 diphthongs, phonemes that are diphthong, I, ow, and oi. If you live in Minnesota, or you grew up in Minnesota, the diphthong A and O are not obvious in your speech. And we have ways of testing out if you have it or if you don't have it. Now, it is very important for you and I to know how frequent, the different vowels of English, how frequent they are. And this is going to tell us a little bit about the issues that Somali speakers may have with vowels. So the vowel A is the most common vowel in English, followed by the schwa and a whole bunch of other vowels. Okay? So there are about 17 vowel sounds or combination of sounds, and oi is the least occurring vowel in English. Now, vowels, not only are they classified by linguists in terms of frequency, but also in terms of their importance in distinguishing the meaning of words. That is what is called functional load. And if we look at that, look at the vowel that shows that as having the most, the biggest functional load. It happens also to be the most common vowel. Okay? So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind for the continuation of the presentation. I mean, linguists, they don't have much to do. They sit there and do all these calculations, but anyway, it is useful. Okay, now last vowels. What is the importance of last vowels? Last vowels appear in English to have a big functional load. Secondly, they are very frequent in English. Now, the third point is very important. Accuracy in the production of last vowels is important in L2 English proficiency. Okay, so what are lax vowels? Lax vowels are these ones here. Now, the English vowels are classified between tense vowels and lax vowels. Usually I tell my students to feel the difference. You have to put your thumb and your index towards the base of by the collarbones, and you say the different vowels, and you will see which one is tense and lax. If you go E, you'll feel tension. If you go A, you will not feel tension. This is the basic way of distinguishing between the two. But people have done a very serious study of this. They have done MRI and fMRI studies of when you say these vowels, how far your tongue goes out and how far it goes back. For instance, between E and A, your tongue, when you say E, your tongue goes out 22.97 millimeters. And when you say A, it goes 21.88 millimeters. And people do very serious study about that. All this gives us quite a bit of information. Now, worldwide distribution of lax vowels. Here, the lax vowels are not very common in world languages. For instance, A, the most common lax vowel in English, occurs only in 17.40% of languages. Now, the lax vowel, as in but, B-U-T, does not occur in Somali. Now, here is basically my research question. Somali has lax vowels except for the R. As a result, it has been postulated that Somali speakers should not have any problem producing English lax vowels. And my question is, but is this true? Okay, that's what we are going to try to find out. Research and finding. So in this past summer, I had my TA and some other people that I will mention their names in the acknowledgement, go around and recruit Somali speakers. And so the Somali speakers gave us, there are 11 English words that have been tested and have been used for these kind of studies. And so they went ahead and said each English word 3 times. So we have 11 vowels times 3 times 10 participants. So I had 330 tokens to deal with. And this is what I did with the tokens. For each token, I did this kind of analysis. It is called a spectrogram. It is basically taking a picture of the inside of your mouth as you produce certain words. And so I don't need to go into details, but for each vowel that was produced, I checked the frequency of the vowel. It is called first F1 format. I checked the frequency of the second format, and I checked how long the vowel lasted. Okay. And I averaged all of this among the speakers. So the first thing that linguists look for in the study of vowels is height. Vowel height has to do with how wide or close your mouth is when you're producing a specific vowel. For instance, if you produce the vowel E in beat, your mouth is fairly closed. However, if you produce the vowel A in cat, your mouth is wide open. And so how wide or how close your mouth is open is projected on the spectrogram in terms of frequencies. And so just to give you an example, when an American, that's typical American, okay, produces the vowel A in head, he or she produces, actually it is mostly he, because I use male data. I had female data, but for reasons technical reasons and also for other reasons, I couldn't use their data. So these are mostly male. An American man, when he says head, the vowel, he produces 390 hertz, and a Somali produces 549 hertz, and the difference is 159 hertz. Why is this important? When you look at frequency, F1 frequency, the higher the frequency, the lower the vowel. Okay? Do you follow? If you have a high frequency, it means you are producing a low vowel. If you have a low frequency, it means you are producing a high vowel. Okay? So I have all the analysis here, and the measurements are here. I did an Excel chart. So you can look at these vowels. For instance, if we take the vowel A, we see that a Somali person produces it much lower than an American person. And the frequency is 159 hertz difference. Okay? Now, let's look at another piece of information. Remember, linguists generally use two formats. There are up to many formats, but after the second format, all the other formats give more information that is not pertinent to linguistic analysis. For instance, some formats tell us about how big your head is and how big your nostrils are, and it is not necessary. So we just concentrate. In this study, I concentrate on the first two formats. Okay, the second format gives information about how far to the front your tongue moves, or how far back in your mouth the tongue moves. So when you use these two pieces of information, you get quite some interesting pieces of data. Now, so I had put all this data together, and for me the most interesting part of the presentation is this. Okay? So this is the vowel space. I hope you can see. The blue shows how American males, where they put their tongue when they produce the last vowels. And when Somali people